Hello and welcome to Jamhammer. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how you can remove paint from some of your miniatures using a really inexpensive, safe way to get rid of that paint without any expensive equipment or any dangerous chemicals that might harm you or your minis. Now, if you watched the video on the Dark Vengeance unboxing, you might remember these two little guys. So most of the minis that I found in the set were just clipped and assembled. They're the sort of easy to assemble models, so they didn't require any gluing. But it did look like the previous owner did paint up these two tactical marines. I'll pop a link into that video now so you can see this unboxing. On the plus side with these miniatures, if we focus on some of the positives, they've all been painted up with the appropriate Dark Angel colours. The person that's done this, you can already see that they're making some nice progress, but not that you can see this, but the paint feels really grainy and chalky. It looks like whoever painted them used some standard acrylic paint, which is sort of got quite low pigment. So if you're ever thinking about why miniature paint costs so much more than sort of the standard acrylic paints that you can find in any hobby supply shop, it's usually the amount of pigmentation in the paint that is causing that increase in cost. It makes for a better quality paint and you get a nicer coverage on your miniatures. So you can see on these miniatures that this person's painted that they had a hard time getting a good coverage on the models. So I didn't really want this paint on these two miniatures. So I wanted to get rid of it, and I thought that we could look at some techniques on how we can remove this and then actually make a video about it. So if you've got any miniatures out there that you bought second hand from eBay or that someone's given you, or like these ones that I found in a second hand shop, they've already been painted up, you can use this technique. Be inexpensive, doesn't take a lot of time or effort or use anything particularly outlandish, and you can remove that paint and then repaint them the way that you want. So yeah, there's a lot of different chemicals that you can use, a lot of different techniques out there if you look up other videos or the resources online, but what I'm going to use here is some of this isopropyl alcohol, quite simple, high proof alcohol. And a lot of the methods that you can see out there are going to end up running up a hefty bill. So if you, like me, can't afford a sonic cleaner, then this is the video for you. I'll leave a link in the description to the best quality isopropyl alcohol that I managed to find for the least amount of money. So please do check that out. It won't cost you any extra money, but it does mean that it's an affiliate link and a few extra pennies will go to help support the channel. You know the stuff is going to be real good because they couldn't even spell isopropyl alcohol correctly. But let's crack on with it anyhow. So you're also going to need a brush. So here is my scummy old toothbrush with, bonus encrusted toothpaste. We do like to cut costs here at Jamhammer. So what we're going to do is take these guys apart. Luckily, as I say, the person who owned these before me hadn't glued them, so it's quite easy just to pull all the pieces apart and pop them into a little container and then just cover them up with the alcohol. Oh my god. So opening this stuff up and it smells exactly like the quote-unquote vodka that we used to get from this really dodgy offie at uni. And come to think of it, that place did get shut down a year or two later after some students unfortunately went temporarily blind. So this would be a really good time for a disclaimer. Don't drink this stuff. Now that we've got these Space Marines nice and submerged in this alcohol, we can see even here, these have only been soaking for just 5 minutes. Not much has changed, but you can see some of the paint is already starting to come off. You can see it swirling in the liquid, and yeah, see it there on my finger. That's all good stuff. So I'm just going to give these a little bit of a jostle just to encourage that process to start working, and I'm going to leave these to soak, and I think that's probably time for another coffee break. So I thought we'd check back in after a few hours and we'll take a look at where we're at with this process so far. So we can see already these bits here where the paint is starting to sort of slough away, and we can see some of the original grey plastic is already coming through. I mean, I'll be honest, like I looked into doing this beforehand and thought I'd make a video about it, but doing this on the fly, I'm really already surprised by how much is coming off already. We're not even started to try and encourage this paint to come off yet, and we're already seeing that this alcohol is working. But if you do take your toothbrush or an old stiff brush that you've got, you can really encourage this process by giving them a really good scrub. And if you keep going with this, you should see more and more of that original grey plastic starting to come through. And if we look again now, we can see that the paint is literally flaking away. And you can see what I was on about before, that the paint has been put on pretty thick. It must have had quite a few layers of this sort of low pigment paint. So we're seeing like a lot of layers here. And at this point, we can actually scrape this off lightly. And then we'll just go back to brushing. So just keep alternating. If you're doing like several models, just keep going between them, allowing them to soak a little, and then going back and giving them a light scrub with your brush. Now, since this is such high-proof alcohol, it does evaporate quite quickly, so you want to ensure that the models are still wet. I can feel them drying out in my hand as I'm scrubbing away at them. And then here are the final results. We've got these glued and based, and they're all ready for priming with the rest of the other tactical marines. I'm really happy with these results. I'm glad we got rid of most of the paint. You can still see some little leftover bits in the crevices. Now you could keep on going, you could keep these soaking. Some people keep miniatures soaked in the alcohol solution for weeks, months, even years, some people have said, and it's had no adverse effect on the quality of the miniatures, on those details or anything. So I've left these little bits in the crevices here, but these are easily going to be covered over with a new layer of prime and then that subsequent paint. If we compare one to one of the unpainted marines from the box set, we can see that the model's lost a little bit of its luster, so it's not got that same sort of shine to it as the sort of like raw plastic does, but rest assured that the detail is still there, and that's the important thing. So what I'll do is I'll leave a link here to the video where I prime the miniatures and see if you can spot which ones these are and see if you can actually discern any differences between these and the ones that weren't painted. So if you do think that you spot them, leave that in the comments below. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving us a like and subscribing to the channel. We'll have some more videos coming out very soon, and until then, thanks very much for watching.